And we're going to get started here, 7:01, according to my computer. And wow, it's been a month since we saw you all. How about that? And it seems like, Christmas time that we get to see these happy faces again from all over the territory. And hopefully that you all had a good July 4th holiday. Speaking of July 4th, Melanie Tracy, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Jerry. How are you? How was your July 4th?
Oh, it was just I just had a firecracker of a time.
Ha! I love it.
Actually, I've been writing reports and getting ready for this field conference in October, and things are due by the end of July. So
Busy guy. Couldn't even enjoy his holiday.
I've been behind the computer a lot, editing and changing and more editing and all that stuff. But yeah, we had a good time. We did some programs. I did a real fun program up in Harrisburg at the forget the name of the brewery, Appalachian Brewing Company. And I think my crowd was really happy because they had too much to drink. But but that was a real good crowd, and we had a great time. I took my security guards with me, Mr. Ken and another friend along. So anyway, we're going to get started here.
Possible factor, different lifestyles. And then there's Jill.
Oh, I can't. Okay. So Zoom Rock Room, here we are again, middle of July already. And you don't know me, I'm Jerry Jones, and Melanie Tracy's our co-host and producer. She does all the background stuff that needs to be done and all that stuff. And Melanie, what's this about?
You see, Jerry, I'm pretty busy. Okay. I do a lot of stuff. I'm a beginner geologist, but my specialty is more of the naturalist side of things. So this is just a day in the life of Melanie at work.
Wow.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think I think you're getting lassoed there.
A little bit. I'm gonna say it's more of a hug.
Oh, it's okay. That's a great picture. I had to steal that from your Facebook post today.
Sure thing. I'm glad you did. Like I said, my geology skills are growing, but my naturalist skills are on 24/7.
But if you've never been to Nixon County Park in your county, you need to go to Nixon County Park and
Sure do.
see their wildlife displays a little bit in the background there. They have actually a world-class wildlife museum. And of course, then the staff, you get to meet the entire staff. And Melanie might even tell you a joke along the way. So, hey, this is something that I came upon this our time off. Had some pizza to eat for lunch. Actually, this is a piece of sandstone. It's not mine. I stole it off of Facebook. Somebody posted it on one of the rock hounding apps, and I had to borrow it, but it is some kind of a sandstone. I'm not even sure where from, but we had pizza for supper here on Sunday night. So I mean, some of that pizza I ate kind of looked that way. But anyway, okay. As always, the Zoom Rock Room, sponsored by Lair Architect in Lake Havasu City, who happens to be my cousin Paul Lair, and his wife Marcella. And we always thank them for paying the bill for the year to make this happen. If everything goes right, we'll be out there to see them in early November and see what's going on in Arizona at that time of year. And Andrew Dirtman, he does have a video tonight we're going to show just before our program comes on because it's kind of related. But Dirt Man Reports, you'll see Andrew's reports on Facebook page quite often. I know he has some others in the works too. But Andrew Dirtman does a great job for us in documenting everything that we do. Crystal Cove Collective, one of our sponsors, Mike and Krista, up in the Lower Allen Shopping Center, Camp Hill. They're also at the Morning Sun Market in York on weekends, which is actually in Thomasville, a couple miles west of York. The Institute, our friends in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania, they're gearing up for they've had a busy summer, but they're gearing up for a couple of really cool programs. This is one that sounds really cool. Wish I could participate. Archaeology, Geology, and the Environment Workshop on August the 1st. And as always, their website is natureandcultureinstitute.org for the complete calendar and all that. They have an incredible staff. As a matter of fact, they are getting ready to hire a part-timer year-round and a full-timer year-round, a naturalist for their new property that they have out there. And for the people who like music, just announced yesterday, I just threw this in here really quickly for the Institute. Sunday, August the 27th, the Jazz Festival at the Wharf in Waynesboro, the Donald Harrison Quartet. So if you like jazz music, you don't want to miss this. This is always a big shindig, sponsored by the Institute. Again in Waynesboro. Melanie, you want to take this?
Of course. So, as always, here is our upcoming schedule for the next couple Zoom rock rooms. Please get a pad of paper, get your phone, take a picture of this screen so you don't forget. You can mark your calendars. But coming up, the end of July, July 18th. Actually, that's today. So we're talking to RJ Harris from Lancaster County about the history of the Gap Nickel Mine. So that'll be really interesting tonight. And then we are already into August and already into September and October in the fall, which blows my mind. But August 1st, we're going to listen to Jerry talk about earthquakes in Pennsylvania. August 15th, we have no Zoom rock room. Jerry will be out of town that week, but that's okay because on September 5th is going to be an awesome talk with Steve Lindbergh on the geology of the America's National Park, which is going to be great. Love my national parks. So that is going to be a real treat, real fun lesson to listen to. And then from there, September 19th and October 3rd, we still plan on having a Zoom rock room, but we don't know our topic yet. So it's going to be a mystery to everybody.
All right, couple of things coming up. Just wanted to throw this in. I don't know if Steve Lindbergh is in the room tonight. Okay, I'm not hearing him. But the Friends of Mineralogy, maybe Andrew, can you talk about this?
Yes, I can actually. So Friends of Mineralogy is gonna have their symposium in a new location this year. We're gonna be out at Johnstown, where Steve teaches out there at University of Johnstown. Also field trip to Paris for that symposium, I believe. But we're still just planning all this. So it's not for a little while, but it's gonna be a great event. It's gonna be the biggest thing we've ever put on. Psyched about it. So come on out. It's gonna be an awesome time.
There you go. Hey, while we have you on a hot mic there, Andrew, we owe you some congratulations, I think, since we last saw you. Something happened to you up in Rochester, New York, right?
Syracuse, actually.
Syracuse, yeah.
But yeah, so I was elected second VP, and we changed the bylaws to make me social media director of the FMLS. So, and then we voted from the floor to nominate my mom as treasurer of the FMLS. So the Rockhounds are now fully deep into the FMLS right now. My mom's gonna be taking care of things, and I'll be running things, from the head. So, yep. Bill's gonna be president. Bill Stevens will be president again for another year, but they're already talking about me going right to president because Larry Huffman's gonna probably move on. So, yeah, a lot of titles now. Keep on counting. Still love the Rock Room. That's where I started.
And we appreciate that very much. So, before I do move on, there's one thing I did not insert. If you read the newspapers last week, they announced that there was a major dinosaur bone bed discovery down in South Laurel, Maryland, in a park oddly named Dinosaur Park. And they're saying this is the largest bone bed on the East Coast ever found. And it's dating about 100 million years ago, between stingrays and dinosaurs. A lot of different bones are being excavated. And there's some articles online too if you go and check it out. I know a University of Arizona professor has said that this is a very, very significant find, particularly for the East Coast. Bone beds are not too well known on the East Coast for some reason, for various reasons. So anyway, read about that. I didn't have a chance to send that out in our email. So to get us into the program tonight, we're going to play this Dirt Man Report, and then we'll introduce the speaker.
Dirt Man here, the Gap Nickel Mine, Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. Today I'm here with Central PA Rock and Mineral Club, and we're in a fresh cut here, and we're pulling out a little bit of pyrite, a little bit there, and the rain's starting to set in, so it might be a messy day, but we'll see what we can come up with. Rain's really setting in now. Everyone's still looking around for stuff. Pretty much finding a lot of pyrite. Oh yeah, pyrite, yeah! But we're still looking. As long as the thunder and lightning doesn't get us down, we'll still be out here. Walking around here, all this rock, you can really smell. Oh, there was some lightning. There's a definite smell of sulfur in the air here. I don't know if it's the pyrite that's oxidizing with water and the air, releasing some of that sulfur, but
It might be.
There's yellow residue on a lot of these rocks, and I think that's sulfur.
yeah. So, very interesting smell here.
You're gonna make a comment about the ozone smell for the lightning.
Yeah, the ozone smell from the lightning.
That
Well, at least we're in the middle of the field here and underground, so we're a little more grounded.
Get down in the hole.
Yeah, maybe you should get off the rock pile. Yeah, it's raining now, but the diehards are still out here. Woo! Yeah! Get them rocks! Renee just found the best thing of the day. Look at that. That is Druzy right there. Unbelievable. Really cool. After all the rain finally stopped and still picking around and still finding stuff.
Worth hanging out.
Even though this is the source of America's first nickels, we didn't expect to actually find nickel ore, and there's a good reason for that.
On Earth, native nickel is found in combination with iron, major end products of a supernova nucleosynthesis. But native nickel reacts with oxygen, making it rare. It's usually found inside larger nickel-iron meteorites that didn't oxidize in space. Meteoric nickel-iron alloy usage dates back to 3500 BC, but it was first classified as an element in 1751 by Axel Kronstedt. He mistook it for a copper mineral. The name comes from Kupfernickel, a German word meaning devil's copper. Looks like I found myself a little Druzy plate too. It's really hard to see because of the water on it, but it's a little vug filled with druze. Pretty cool. So it's been a great day here at the Gap Nickel Mines in Lancaster County. Pulled some pyrite, some nice Druzy plates, and a little millerite, good stuff here. Got through the rain, got soaked, but we had some nice mud puddles to wash our finds off in. So, Dirt Man here, bringing the geology to you from Gap Nickel Mine, Lancaster County. Back to you, Jerry.
Woohoo! Let's give Andrew a round of applause there
Yeah.
for that nice production. So he always does a great job, and we appreciate his efforts there. Hey, Melanie, one thing I did do that we were off for that month. I got to walk through a big bookstore, and I saw a book entitled "How to Solve 50% of Your Problems." So I bought 2 of them.
How do you solve 50% of your problems?
If you
That's the question.
figure it out, let me know.
Maybe you solve them by not causing them to happen or trying to prevent them in one way or another.
Yeah, sometimes problems just happen. Anyway, so okay.
I'm in the hospital here with a sprained ankle and sprained right ankle and bruised left knee because I slipped on concrete
Uh-oh.
that was wet.
All right. Sorry to hear that one. Hope you'll do
So
fine.
I came here to the Zoom meeting late because I was in X-ray.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, our speaker tonight, he's a friend of mine. He's been a friend of a lot of people actually, and he's been involved in the Central Pennsylvania Rock and Mineral Club. I really don't have anything written up for you, RJ. I'm just taking it out of my head. But
That sounds good.
But he's been very, very active with the Central Pennsylvania Rock and Mineral Club, and you can actually hear him on radio Monday through Friday from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. on WHP 580. RJ Harris in the morning. So RJ volunteered to do a program on the Gap Nickel Mine. And I've already learned tonight that one of our members in here tonight, Paul Fagley, he said a grandfather of his, he thinks died at the Gap Nickel Mine.
Oh my gosh.
So Paul is attending tonight. Make sure he wants to hear the history and whatever you have to say about the Gap Nickel Mine. So RJ, I appreciate you being here. Good to see you again. I know you're a hard guy to always catch up to as well as I am, but we cross paths occasionally and chit chat. So thank you for coming on board and do the Gap Nickel Mine.
No, listen, Jerry, thank you for all you do for the hobby. And you have been a dear friend for a long, long time. You know, at least we get to see each other a few times a year. And I've had Jerry on the radio, you know, when we talk about Dillsburg earthquakes and what have you. Well, of course, Jerry is the media guy here in Central PA for that, and he's been on with me. And we have quite a few listeners that go to church with Jerry. So we have a lot in common, and we've collected together. And I've found some very special things collecting with Jerry, so I appreciate it. Yeah, I think I've been president of the Central PA Rock and Mineral Club 6 different times. And I've done pretty much everything in there except editor. That's too tough a job for me. But, you know, program and some field trips over the years and all that. So, and I'm glad Ken is in here, Ken Frazier, and a lot of the folks that I've collected with over the years. So, okay. Regarding the Gap Nickel Mine, let me go to share my screen. And there it is. Okay. All right. And I've never done this before, so just bear with me. I mean, in terms of doing it on the
Let's lie down.
So I need this from the beginning. How do we do that?
Go up the slideshow.
Yeah, slideshow. Okay, there we go. From the beginning. Okay. This tonight is really history more than anything. And I will tell you that we're very blessed in that the Esches are somewhat like Eric up at Mount Pleasant Mills and National Limestone. While we do pay a token fee to get in, they allow this to be open for us. And by the way, Ken will tell those of you who were at the dig that day that because you were rained out early, they're giving us a redo and you won't have to pay again for those that have already been there. And Ken will talk about that in the future. So it's located in Bart Township in Lancaster. And really, it all started as William Penn. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Hang on. Uh-oh. Okay. It all started as William Penn had a great interest in having a place that Quakers could practice their religion without reprisals from the king. So Quakers would become very key to the future of the Gap nickel mine. Minerals found at Gap about 1716. Some say closer to 1700. John Leach began the process of mining for chalcopyrite in the mine in 1719, 1 year after provincial governor Keith drove Maryland mining invaders off the property. Disputes like Gap led to the creation of the Mason-Dixon line. So it's interesting that the Gap nickel mine had history there along with other mines. But get this, William Penn had border disputes with the Calvert family of Maryland. How many of us have stuff from Calvert Cliffs? So I thought that was rather ironic, honestly, that two of our great collecting locations have something to do with each other, and the Mason-Dixon line as well. Ben Franklin, at one point, they searched for and mined copper at the Gap mine. They mined copper until it started to dwindle in 1851. Mining lore, and you may have heard, claims that Ben Franklin himself tested for copper at Gap, but there is absolutely no proof that he was ever at the mine. However, he did receive water from a spring on the property there, and he developed a plating process by which he used iron bars to attract and extract copper from the water. They say he started with a knife, and he really perfected that plating process based on the water that he received from Gap. This is a letter that is actually in the file. I do certify that Dr. Benjamin Franklin, weeks before his death, informed me at the Gap copper mine. I underline that because we've never called it that, have we? The Gap copper mine in Lancaster County, belonging to James Logan and others, worked a spring of water discovered in the same highly impregnated with copper. A bottle of water was sent to him, with which he frequently made experiments with his knife, which, being for a short time immersed in the water, would assume the appearance of copper. So there's the plating technique that we talked about that Ben Franklin perfected. And I think he invented Ray-Ban sunglasses based on that picture, I believe. All right. Nickel ore found at Gap. 1853, the presence of nickel was confirmed by Professor of Chemistry, Dr. Frederick A. Genth. The issue was there was really no smelting process back then for nickel, and it really had to be developed. The technology was developed to help the process along, and a separate company opened a smelter about a mile from the mine. Now, what I glossed over is it took a long time to get there, in that smelting nickel was a real issue, and it took a while to perfect the process. In 1860, the mine itself purchased the smelter, but could not turn a profit. There was little use for what was called German silver, because it did not fare well in armament use. So nickel was just not in high demand. Enter Joseph Wharton. Wharton traveled Pennsylvania on horseback at age 27 in search of minerals in general. He was in the zinc business and did well mining zinc for use in white paint. Wharton was an early investor in Bethlehem Iron Works, which later became Bethlehem Steel. So he made a lot of money there. He was one of the same, or of the same stature as J.P. Morgan, Andrew Carnegie, and the like. And he was labeled America's metallurgist pioneer. And we talked about Quakers earlier. Joseph Wharton was a Quaker. And we know him today because of Wharton University and the Wharton School. And a lot of famous people have gone there, including ex-presidents of the United States and others. So he had quite the impact. Every bit of nickel in the United States of America America at one point came from Gap. Wharton capitalized on exporting nickel to Europe and for use on coinage here in the USA. At one point, though, the government, U.S. government, became his only customer, and business was good. Captain James Doble. This is a fellow who is really associated with the mine in a big way because he ran the place. He was a longtime miner with experience that went back to the Cornwall Mine District in England. Many of us have specimens from that district. Many experienced miners would immigrate to the U.S., and they got good jobs pretty much immediately, good as defined back then, tough jobs. Doble ran every aspect of the mine down to the company store and the miners' village, where they pretty much purchased everything. And it was just like the Cornwall mine and the Cornwall furnace. Pretty much you lived in company housing, and you bought from the company store. And of course, you bought everything there and paid for everything with money you made from the company. Having the government as your only customer could be an issue, and became one when Congress decided to do away with the 3-cent nickel. How many of you knew of the 3-cent nickel? Wharton pulled out all stops, lobbied to keep the coin, and abolitionist Thaddeus Stevens is said to have saved the 3-cent nickel. But the U.S. Senate nixed the coin on March the 22nd of 1864, and let me just move this here for a second. The decision was overturned May 13th, 1866. Here was really the issue. The end of the Civil War meant that a large supply of coinage being hoarded was put back into circulation by the government, and demand for nickel from Gap plummeted. Now, what happened back then was the North had its currency, and as you know, the South had its currency. And because it was war, people were really dubious over the government, the currencies from the North and the South. In fact, many banks started to issue their own currency. But here's what happened. People hoarded gold and silver because that's what our coins were made of. So they hoarded that because they knew if push came to shove, if the South won and they lived in the North, they still had gold to melt down. If they lived in the South, the opposite was true. So that's why they hoarded the metal. And at the end of the Civil War, all that stuff went back into circulation. May 13, 1866, this is as what we know as the nickel. It was known as the U.S. Shield nickel, and I do see them on eBay and other places at really attractive prices. In fact, as a gift, because I know he doesn't have any, I'm going to buy a few for Aaron Esch at the Gap Nickel Mine. So where does that bring us to? For a short time, the Gap Nickel Mine provided all the nickel for the new Prussian government's coinage program, so they got a little reprieve, a little. But the French flooded America with nickel from first New Caledonia and then Sudbury, Ontario, Canada, which we'll talk about in a moment or two. At that point, nickel fell to 21 cents a pound. Keep in mind, during the Wharton years, it ranged from $3.50 a pound to $1.20, and then back to $3 a pound. So we're at a point where, because of flooding us with nickel, it went to 21 cents a pound. Production ended around 1891. They tried to start it up because of an effort to sell the company. They tried to mine it a little bit so they could make a case for selling it, and that started from 1899 to 1902. But as you can see, that was really, really short-lived and didn't go very long. Here are some of the pictures that I found. In a moment, I'll credit Jay Leininger. I don't recall whether these were all matrix, but you can see some of the works there that day or back in the day in the 1860s and what it looked like. Here we are on our dig in 2021. This is when Central Pennsylvania Rock and Mineral Club paid to have Stephen Esch go down there and dig it out for us. That was done again this year by the Lancaster Club. And of course, the dig that we had, we benefited from those pits still being there. Let's be honest, once they get down there and they dig like that, you're going to go there for years and be able to pick from those walls and not dig stuff that people have. Aaron Esch said, "Here, I want. Come on." We have become good friends, by the way, and Bonnie and I have been to dinner with he and his family and his, and they've been up here to my house, and it's kind of interesting getting to know the Amish. But one day I was down there. He said, "Let me take you over and show you the mine pits." So this was not too awfully long ago, and you see what it looks like. Very dangerous, by the way. I mean, there's some dilapidated fencing around there, but not much. Nobody really goes in there, but that's what it looks like. Okay, millerite. The fibrous millerite is, I don't know if you'll see my mouse or not, but along the vein.
Can you go back to the last picture and just show what does it look like, dilapidated, and what you pick, whatever?
This is these are the mine. That's the mine shaft itself.
Doesn't it seem dangerous to go into?
Oh, we didn't go in. We didn't go in. I went there to take pictures. Nobody's allowed in here. In fact, he did this because we are friends, and he took me back here and just wanted me to see it, really. So that's the mine shaft, and that's a closer look of it. You can see this is that area there, and this is a pit that was right next to it, as you can see, filled with water. And millerite, do you guys see my, in sharing the screen, are you seeing my mouse move?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So the millerite is much sought after and not that often found, in all honesty. Carrie Matt and folks that have been there over and over again will tell you it's not easy to find. And this is the mix of chalcopyrite and more. And I think it's beautiful. I call it, some of it, peacock ore. I have some specimens in my case downstairs where it really looks that way because it has even more of a rainbow effect. And I'm sure you guys have found some of that really good looking stuff. This is millerite. This is the prize. And I honestly have heard of one person many, many, many years ago who found a specimen like this, but I haven't heard of anyone since. And that's what Carrie Matt always talks about wanting. And there it is again. That's just the thin piece of, from like you saw earlier. And if we really zoomed in, you could see that it is a very fibrous type of mineral. And I don't know much about it and the serpentine barrens, but they're not far from each other. And I found it here and at the Woods Chrome Mine. Somebody that knows more about the geology of it could speak to it. But at the Woods Chrome Mine, a lot of it is fibrous as well, like the stuff you find at the serpentine barrens. So this is the slag pile. And the next time you go to the Gap Nickel Mine, if you want to see some of this up close and personal, there are some big pieces of it that Aaron has in the lot that we park in. So if you don't know where it is, it's by a clump of trees. You can see it. Years ago, this is a horrible picture, but years ago, we were at the Gap Nickel Mine, and we went over to the slag dumps. And this is me and Bill Horning in suits that Robert Ridgway got at the state surplus place. and there are some of us standing, but this is the only thing I could find, and it was from a newsletter. That's why it looks like this. But we literally had these chrome suits on and the helmets, and it looked like we were walking on the moon, because look at this stuff. Not the color of the moon, but it's just or space somewhere. So that was back then. This is Aaron Esch, the owner of the Gap Nickel Mine Dumps. His brother is the owner of the slag piles. So it's all in the Esch family. And I will tell you this, they are really quite an amazing family. You all know, I'm sure, about the Gap Nickel Mine tragedy, the shooting of the girls that went to the Amish school there. One of his sons was a student that day at the school, and Aaron, along with a police officer, were the first on the scene. So when you hear the stories, and the state police did give him some pictures of the funeral and the lineup of buggies, and when you see the stuff, it's really breathtaking. And his son did have some post-traumatic stress syndrome that he had help with, and is doing well today, and it's really quite the family. So there they are, the 3-cent nickels. And this is the last part. And this is kind of controversial, because there are many that say this just isn't true, but there are others that believe it is true. I read an article online about it, and so I don't know. I don't pretend to tell you that this is true, but I'm throwing it in because I find it interesting, frankly. I mentioned that the French flooded the United States with nickel, first from New Caledonia, but then Sudbury, Ontario, Canada. One of the theories as to how Gap got its nickel and the other stuff that is there is activity that was caused by a meteorite hitting there. But a meteorite also hit Sudbury, Ontario. And the reason that they relate them is, and again, I'm not a chemist nor a trained geologist, but the article said that the chemical composition of the nickel found in Sudbury, Ontario is exactly the same, exactly as the nickel found in Georgetown, Bart Township, Lancaster County. And they say that there's not an occurrence of that anywhere else that they can find on Earth. So again, I threw that in there because they claim, I'm going to use different initials now that don't apply, but we all understand it better. They say the DNA of the Sudbury nickel is exactly the same as Georgetown. There are others that say that's nonsense. So I'll leave that to you to figure out. I want to thank Aaron Esch. I want to thank Jay Leininger of Matrix Magazine. Boy, we do miss him. He was a man dedicated to the history of all of these facilities. And at the Central Pennsylvania Rock and Mineral Club, in our library, we have most of the Matrix magazines that you can check out of the library. And you'll see right away that, if you've been to the golf course down in Phoenixville for pyromorphite, he has the Wheatley mine. He has so much more. And also some stuff came from the Pennsylvania magazine and the Smithsonian as well. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, Jerry.
Okay. All right. That's a great program, RJ.
Well, thank you. Now, I guess you have to unshare me. Oh, no, stop share. There we go.
Oh,
okay.
You did it.
Thank you.
As always, if you want to put some questions into the chat box, if Melanie can read those, I was just reading the message when you were finished, RJ. Our buddy Johnny Johnson's here that he said to Jay Leininger and Hayward Wharton and Alan Heil got Joseph Horton inducted into the National Mining Hall of Fame and Museum in Leadville, Colorado.
Wow, that's tremendous. He obviously deserves to be there. That's excellent.
So,
Yeah. Boy, we do miss Jay, don't we?
oh, we do. He's the one that actually got me into all this racket.
Yeah, yeah. What a great man.
Yep. So, yeah, he, I owe him a lot. Plus, he published 2 of my books I did while he was still working and alive and well. Yeah, I was going to bring up the Army school shooting because that happened right across the street from the mine, basically, and that was a in 2006. That was a great example of how somebody can repent and forgive.
Well, he tells the story, a couple of stories. One is how the first thing they did after the initial goings on at the school was say, "Oh my gosh," and I don't remember his wife's name. What about whatever her name was? And they rushed to her house to make sure that she was okay. These were members, they weren't Amish, but they were members of the community. Everybody knew this guy.
Right.
And the wife was a friend. And they went and they, not only did they forgive him, they really took care of her. And they also have traveled the country, and they don't fly, they have drivers. They have traveled the country to the different school shootings to help the parents there cope with what they're going through and forgiveness and all that. I will tell you one funny story, though, about the Amish, okay? They obviously violate a lot of rules depending on where they are and how conservative they are. Further south they are, the more conservative they are. But Aaron owns a construction business, and yes, they have cell phones. But quite a few years ago, and it's been a lot of years now, when I first met him, I got out of my Trailblazer because Carrie Matt told me where he was and all that. And I vaguely remembered. I had been to the mine a few times, but I got out of my Trailblazer and I walked up and I said, "Pardon me, sir." I said, "Are you Aaron Esch?" And he looked at me with this puzzled look, and I said, "Yes." He goes, "You're R.J. Harris." I said, "Well, how in the world do you know that?" And he said, "My driver listens to you every day," which is code for I listen to you every day. Okay. And he does. And so do his sons. But technically speaking, okay, the driver turns the radio on. Okay.
Yeah, right.
And so they have their little technicalities, but it kind of blew me away that he knew my voice from listening on the radio. So funny stuff.
That's a good story. It really is. Not seeing any questions coming over here. If you go down to the Smithsonian Institute to the mineral display, there is a piece of millerite in there from the Gap.
Oh,
From the Gap nickel mine. So you
Who's
can,
getting more information about the digging site? Because I'd like to go on the trip. When is it and everything?
well, Ken, the way it stands right now is the trip will be for those who were there and who were rained on and paid their money. And Ken, if you're here, I think he had maybe 13, and we have a limit of 20. So when the trip is put together, and it's not yet, but when it is and it's announced, Ken could put as up to X amount of members more in there who we have room for, and you just have to pay your either $10 or $15 fee. Ken could tell us what it was, but when you go, because you're a newbie, you weren't there, but he hasn't put that together yet.
Yeah, we'll
All
set
right.
it up in the next few
And
weeks.
something, it was like, we were wondering, why does something cost something over time, or these little things that people go and dig for, or what is it they cause?
I'm not following the question.
No, like you said that in the talk, you said that certain thing, people dig in certain sites that got caused over the years. What causes those holes or craters over the years?
Oh, well, we actually, this past time, the Lancaster Club paid for Stephen Esch, or one of the Esch sons, to get down and trench for them. And then we were there a few weeks later in their trenches. Last year or 2 years ago, I forget when it was, I think last year, or no, maybe 2 years now, it was the opposite. The Central Pennsylvania Club paid for the trenching, and then the Lancaster Club came in a week or two after us. So we kind of did the same thing this time. And we've done that other places. We've paid to move some stone at Mount Pleasant Mills and what have you out of our budget for field trips.
Okay.
Oh,
Anybody else,
so
anybody else have any other questions for RJ?
Yeah, because I have to tell you that I get
what
up
is
at
trenching?
I get up at 2:45 a.m., 2:45, and my bedtime was 15 minutes ago. So,
Right.
so I'm
Well,
going to bail on you here pretty soon.
we appreciate you working overtime for us today.
Oh, no, it was great to be here. I'm honored to be asked. Thank you. But that's why I'm not here. I'd be here every month. It's just that my time is so goofy compared to everyone else when you get up at 2:45. And my doctors convinced me that I need 7 hours of sleep a night, period. And that's what I strive to get every night.
All right. And we'll let you run it, RJ, because we're gonna
All right.
we're going to call this meeting adjourned here really soon.
All right. Well, listen, thank you all. Please come and see us at the Central Pennsylvania Rock and Mineral Club anytime. Congratulations to our current president, the Dirt Man, on his new post. And Jerry, thank you. Take care.
Thank you, RJ, very much.
Listen to you, RJ. Listen to you in the morning.
Hey, well, thank you, Dick. Call me sometime. Say hi.
You got it.
All right.
Would you please give me the radio station?
It's WHP 580 AM in Harrisburg, PA. That's what HP stands for, WHP, Harrisburg, PA, so it's easy to remember. But you can also get us on the free iHeartRadio app. You just have to download it. It's free. Put WHP in there, and you'll be able to hear us no matter where you are. So,
all right.
Okay, night, everybody.
We'll see you, RJ.
Good night. Nice to see you, everybody, again.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, so we're gonna bring this to a close tonight. If you're new to us, these videos are posted on our website, jonesgeo.com, under the Zoom Rock Room. It will be there in a matter of a couple of hours at the most. This is a short program tonight, so it won't take long to process it. And you go back and watch all the other ones. And if I remember right, I was trying to remember our speaker's name that was in here last fall. It talked about impact craters. He actually he did not direct.
Oh, excuse me, I forgot something.
He did not directly say this, but the Gap nickel mine was the right distance from the Chesapeake impact for the nickel to have occurred, similar to Sudbury up in Canada. I can't remember his name now, but anyway, RJ was talking about the similarities between the Gap and Sudbury. So anyway, so we'll see you August the 1st is our next program. We're going to talk about earthquakes in PA. Melanie, you have anything you want to say to close this off?
I'm glad we saw all your friendly faces again tonight after having a couple weeks off, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Everybody have a good 2 weeks. We'll see you August the 1st.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Mama, hold, you don't have.